The taxi wound its way up the narrow, twisting road. Olivia's heart raced with anticipation. She squeezed Ethan's hand, their fingers intertwined. The journey from the airport seemed endless, but they knew it would be worth it. Santorini had been their dream destination for years. Finally, the car came to a stop. They stepped out, blinking in the bright sunlight. A gentle breeze caressed their faces. The scent of the sea filled their nostrils. A smiling woman greeted them, introducing herself as Maria. She was the owner of their villa. With a warm gesture, she led them inside. The moment they crossed the threshold, Olivia gasped. The view was even more spectacular than she had imagined. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a panorama of the caldera. The deep blue sea stretched endlessly before them. Whitewashed buildings clung to the cliffs. They seemed to glow in the afternoon sun. Ethan wrapped his arm around Olivia's waist. He pulled her close, planting a soft kiss on her temple. "Welcome to our honeymoon, Mrs. Collins," he whispered. Olivia's eyes glistened with tears of joy. She turned to face him, their lips meeting in a tender kiss. In that moment they knew this would be a week they would never forget. After settling into their villa, Olivia and Ethan decided to explore their immediate surroundings. Hand in hand, they stepped out onto the narrow, winding streets of Vigli. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the whitewashed buildings. Every turn revealed a new postcard-perfect view. They strolled past charming little shops and cafes. The aroma of freshly baked bread and Greek coffee filled the air. Locals greeted them with warm smiles and friendly nods. Olivia couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging. It was as if the island itself was welcoming them. As they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon a small, hidden church. Its blue dome stood out against the white buildings. Olivia tugged on Ethan's hand, pulling him towards it. Inside, the cool air was a welcome respite from the heat. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. They stood in silence, taking in the peaceful atmosphere. Emerging from the church, they found themselves at a viewpoint. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange. Ethan pulled Olivia close, wrapping his arms around her from behind. They watched as the sun slowly dipped below the horizon. In that moment, surrounded by beauty and in each other's arms, they felt truly blessed. The next morning, Olivia and Ethan set out early to explore Oya. They had heard so much about this picturesque village. Its beauty did not disappoint. The narrow streets were a maze of white and blue, bougainvillea draped over walls, adding splashes of vibrant pink. They wandered through art galleries and boutique shops. Each one offered unique treasures. Olivia fell in love with a pair of handmade sandals. Ethan couldn't resist a locally crafted ceramic plate. These would be perfect mementos of their trip. As they shopped, they chatted with the friendly shopkeepers. Each had a story to share about the island and its history. Around midday, they found themselves at the famous blue domes of Oya. The sight was even more breathtaking in person. Tourists jostled for the perfect photo spot. But Ethan had a better idea. He led Olivia down a less crowded path. There they discovered a small, hidden terrace with an unobstructed view. Ethan pulled out his camera, capturing Olivia's radiant smile with the blue domes in the background. As he lowered the camera, their eyes met. No photo could truly capture the love that passed between them in that moment. They shared a kiss, soft and sweet, with the beauty of Santorini as their witness. That evening, Olivia and Ethan decided to indulge in Santorini's culinary delights. They had made reservations at a highly recommended local taverna. The restaurant was perched on the edge of the caldera. Twinkling lights and candles created a romantic atmosphere. As they were seated, a warm breeze carried the scent of the sea. Their waiter, an older gentleman named Nikos, greeted them with a smile. He recommended they try the local specialties. Ethan and Olivia eagerly agreed. They wanted to experience everything Santorini had to offer. The meal began with a crisp Assyrtiko wine grown in Santorini's volcanic soil. It paired perfectly with the fresh Greek salad and creamy fava. Next came the main course, tender grilled octopus for Ethan and moussaka for Olivia. The flavors were unlike anything they had tasted before. Each bite was a celebration of local ingredients and centuries-old recipes. As they savoured their meal, they couldn't help but feel grateful. Grateful for this moment, for each other, for the beauty surrounding them. Nikos returned with dessert, a traditional Santorinian wedding cake called melitinia. As they shared the sweet treat, Ethan reached across the table. He took Olivia's hand in his. No words were needed. Their eyes said it all. This was just the beginning of their adventure together. Section 5. Sunset at a moody bay. On their third day in Santorini, Ethan surprised Olivia with a trip to Amudi Bay. They made their way down the 300 steps from Oya. The descent was steep, but the promise of what awaited made it worthwhile. As they reached the bottom, Olivia's eyes widened in wonder. The small fishing village was a hidden gem. Colourful boats bobbed gently in the crystal-clear water. The scent of grilled fish wafted from the tavernas lining the bay. Ethan led Olivia to a small boat. A weathered fisherman named Dimitris greeted them with a toothless grin. He was to be their guide for the afternoon. As they set sail, the coastline of Santorini revealed itself in all its glory. Sheer cliffs rose dramatically from the sea. The white buildings of Oya clung precariously to the top. Dimitris pointed out hidden caves and told tales of ancient mariners. Olivia leaned back against Ethan, feeling completely at peace. As the sun began to set, Dimitris anchored the boat. He produced a bottle of local wine and 2 glasses. Ethan and Olivia toasted to their love as the sky exploded in a riot of colours. The sun seemed to melt into the sea. In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of nature and each other's love, they felt truly blessed. Section 6. Adventures in Fira. The following day, Olivia and Ethan decided to explore Fira, Santorini's bustling capital. They took the cable car down to the old port. The ride offered breathtaking views of the caldera. Olivia's stomach fluttered, both from the descent and the excitement of the day ahead. At the port, they boarded a boat for a tour of the volcano. As they approached Nea Kameni, the volcanic island at the center of the caldera, Ethan marveled at its barren beauty. They hiked to the crater, the ground warm beneath their feet. Steam rose from cracks in the earth. It was a stark reminder of the powerful forces that shaped this island. After the volcano tour, they returned to Fira. The town was a maze of narrow streets and staircases. They wandered hand in hand, stopping to admire the views at every turn. In a small square, they stumbled upon a group of musicians playing traditional Greek music. The lively bouzouki melodies filled the air. Caught up in the moment, Ethan pulled Olivia into an impromptu dance. She laughed, her eyes sparkling with joy. They twirled and swayed, ignoring the amused glances of passers-by. In that moment, they weren't just tourists. They were part of the vibrant tapestry of Santorini life. As the music faded, they shared a kiss, breathless and happy. Section 7. The Hidden Beach. On their 5th day, Ethan and Olivia decided to seek out one of Santorini's hidden beaches. They had heard whispers of a secluded cove accessible only by a narrow path. Armed with a hand-drawn map from Maria, their villa owner, they set out on their adventure. The path was rough and winding. Olivia's sandals weren't ideal for the terrain, but Ethan held her hand, steadying her on the tricky parts. The sound of the sea grew louder as they descended. Finally, they rounded a corner and gasped. Before them lay a small beach of red sand, framed by towering red cliffs. They had the beach almost entirely to themselves. Only a few other adventurous souls had made the journey. Ethan spread out their beach towels while Olivia unpacked their picnic. They spent the afternoon swimming in the crystal-clear water and basking in the sun. The red cliffs seemed to glow as the day progressed. As the sun began to lower in the sky, Ethan pulled out a surprise. He had packed a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. They toasted to their adventure, to Santorini, and to their love. The bubbles tickled Olivia's nose, making her giggle. Ethan thought she had never looked more beautiful than in that moment, with the setting sun casting a golden glow on her skin. Section 8. A Dance Under the Stars. For their last night in Santorini, Ethan had planned something special. He led Olivia to their villa's private terrace. She gasped as she saw what awaited them. The terrace had been transformed. Twinkling fairy lights were strung overhead. Candles flickered in glass lanterns. A small table was set for two, laden with local delicacies. A private chef prepared their meal right before their eyes. The aroma of grilling fish and herbs filled the air. Olivia watched in awe as he expertly filleted the catch of the day. Ethan poured them each a glass of Vinsanto, Santorini's famous sweet wine. They toasted to their magical week. As they savoured their meal, a violinist appeared. He began to play soft, romantic melodies. The music seemed to blend with the starry sky above. Ethan stood, extending his hand to Olivia. "May I have this dance?" he asked softly. She nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears of joy. They swayed together, lost in the music and each other. The lights of the villages below twinkled like earthbound stars. The sea stretched out before them, a dark expanse reflecting the moon's glow. In that moment, it felt as if they were the only two people in the world. Olivia rested her head on Ethan's shoulder, breathing in his familiar scent. She silently wished this night would never end. Section 9. Memories in the Making. On their final morning in Santorini, Olivia and Ethan woke early. They wanted to savour every last moment. They sat on their balcony, sipping Greek coffee and sharing a plate of fresh fruit. The early morning light cast a soft glow over the caldera. It was as if the island was bidding them a gentle farewell. As they packed, each souvenir brought back a flood of memories. The handmade sandals from Oya, the ceramic plate from the local artisan, a bottle of Asurtico wine to enjoy back home. Olivia carefully wrapped each item, preserving not just the objects, but the moments they represented. Ethan suggested they take one last walk through Imerovigli before their departure. They strolled hand in hand, retracing the steps of their first day. The church where they had found peace. The viewpoint where they had watched the sunset. Each spot now held a special place in their hearts. As they reached a familiar corner, Ethan pulled Olivia close. "Let's make a promise," he said softly, "to return here someday, to relive these memories and make new ones." Olivia nodded, her eyes glistening. They sealed the promise with a kiss, the warmth of the Santorini sun enveloping them like a blessing. Section 10. Reflections on Love and Life. As their taxi wound its way back down to the airport, Olivia and Ethan fell into a reflective silence. The past week had been more than just a honeymoon. It had been a journey of discovery. They had discovered the breathtaking beauty of Santorini, but more importantly, they had discovered new depths to their love. Ethan thought about the moments that stood out, the way Olivia's eyes lit up when she saw the blue domes of Oya, her laughter as they danced in the square in Fiera, the peaceful contentment on her face as they watched the sunset from a moody bay. He realized that his love for her had grown deeper with each passing day. Olivia's mind wandered to the future they would build together. She imagined the stories they would tell their children about this magical week, the traditions they would create inspired by their time in Greece. Perhaps they would learn to cook moussaka together, or plant bougainvillea in their garden to remind them of Santorini's charm. As the airport came into view, Ethan squeezed Olivia's hand. She turned to him, a soft smile on her face. No words were needed. They both knew that while they were leaving Santorini, they were carrying a piece of it in their hearts. This honeymoon had been the perfect beginning to their life together, and they were excited for all the adventures that lay ahead. With the spirit of Santorini in their souls, they were ready to face whatever life had in store, hand in hand.